Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another collab video. Hope you guys have enjoyed the other videos that have been put out on this channel as of late. Um, I haven't done a video in a while. At least content-wise, you guys have been getting some good content lately. But it's been a minute since I've done a video of any kind. Um, and all that is because the last video I published was on June 5th, and if you'd watched that video, you would have known that um, I had put out a film recently. I put out a movie for those who don't know, I like to do short films a lot, um, or at least I don't know how you would count this one, but um, the it is about 57 minutes in length. Um, and it took a long time to make. It took about 2 years to get made, from scripting it to just the overall production was. Um, but um, it was um, it was such an amazing experience. I mean, I reiterate it this time and time again, but this journey has almost been therapeutic in many ways, and um, I think that you might be able to understand it more when you see the film. The movie is called One, O-N-E. Um, I don't want to explain what it's about, at least from my own perspective, because I don't want to destroy the fun of it, because I think that's part of the fun of this movie, is bringing to what you think the movie can be, and I'd rather not, implement my own opinion on what I think the movie is trying to tell me. Because to be honest with you, when we actually were making the film towards the end, it was still kind of mysterious as to what the movie could be, looked at as. And I think that was also what was so fun about it, was that you can be able to look at it in certain lenses. Um, and I'd rather not ruin the spirit of that by giving my own opinion on it, because then my opinion becomes the be all end all for what the movie is about. And I don't I hate when filmmakers show their hand like that. So I'd rather not share what my opinion is on the film. But yeah, this weekend has just been this weekend has been very, very um, big change, to say the least. Because this has been 2 years of my life, like literally 2 years of my life, invested into one short film. And um, like everything else, obviously, life happens, stuff happens along the way, big things happen. These last 2 years have been very important, actually, in my life. And this short film has been kind of a way to get through it. And it's been also reflective in many respects, just what the film is about and what it presents. Not the extremes, but it's. I would be lying if I said I have not been to those places before, or am experiencing those types of thoughts. Um, but um, or have experienced those types of thoughts. Um, but um, yeah, it's a film that I hope you have a healthy discussion with, and more importantly, have fun with in some manner, because I think that there are ways to look at it, and um, I I look forward to hearing what your perspective is of the film. So I'll have a link to it in the description box below. It came out on the 5th, so the day I put out that collaboration video, it was the day I put out the movie. It's been just a crazy 2 years making that film, and how do I say it? It's a really reflective movie, I must say. Like a lot of how the character is, and ultimately how I see him. Um, I would be lying if I've not been where he's at. Um, so yeah. Um, it's a yeah. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna start getting emotional. So, but yeah, it's called One, O-N-E, and I highly recommend that you guys um, just, give it a watch, and give me your thoughts on it, give me your perspective of it. And I'm really proud of it, and I'm really just, really pleased with, just the overall experience of it, because, so many things could have gone wrong with this, so many things could have gone haywire, and too much that could have happened, but it was such a spiritual experience, and just, it was filled with precious moments that I will never forget, and the movie itself is just the most rewarding thing that I have done so far in terms of film. So please watch it, and tell me your thoughts on it. And yeah, so I'll leave a link in the description box below. So just wanted to kind of lay out, what this weekend has been about. It's just been releasing this movie and basically going through a big change. Really, like, because right now it feels like kind of vanilla. Like it's like I'm not like overly anxious about like, what do I do? Because I had that period where I was just sitting here in my room and I was like, maybe I should just do another short film right now. And I then like called some friends up about maybe doing a short film this summer, and I kind of stopped doing that because that was destroying the fun of what made movies fun for me, which was taking my time with it, crafting it, and really respecting what the story wanted to tell, and allowing itself to present itself whenever it wanted to, versus just trying to get something together just for the sake of doing it. So it's been a lot of patience, and more importantly, it's been a big time as of now to ultimately just reflect and just to really look at how my life is going, and really taking initiative for really wanting to do change, not just for the simple simplicity of there actually being change happening, but being actually accepting within your own self that the change is happening and that you're willing to make the change, and wanting to further make change for yourself. And that's what I'm doing right now, is really trying to make some big changes in my life, and hopefully for the better. So I think that's what my summer is really going to be like, is taking initiative on change, and because I think that's what some of my biggest fears in life, if I'm honest. I mean, people fear a lot of things, and there are other things that I fear, obviously, but I think change might be one of those, big fears. But because it's like the unknown, but at the same breath, though, that very word is exciting to me, the idea of the unknown. But it's the knowing that it's all change. That ultimately it is change, and that you're going to go through something different that you have not done before, and saying goodbye to the old habits. It's a lot to take in right now, and it's a lot of just a lot of I don't want to say it's been meditative, but someone told me, like, I was just kind of describing where my head was at, and they were like, yeah, you seem like you're in a meditative state right now. So if that's what that is, then, I hope that I keep this up. But, hopefully by the end of the summer, some good change will happen. So, but anyways, I've taken up enough time. So let's get into the news, because there's some interesting stuff that was happening this past week that I want to get into. The first of which I would say is the big story of the week, is involving Quentin Tarantino. Now we know that Quentin Tarantino wants to make at least 10 movies in his career before he retires. Now, and if you go by Tarantino's count, which I think is a bullshit count, I think he actually has made 10 movies. I know he considers Kill Bill as one film, but it really is 2 movies. So in essence, he has made 10 movies. But if you want to go off by his book, he's made 9 movies. So by his book, he has one more film that he would like to make. That might not be the case anymore. According to Deadline, it looks like Quentin Tarantino might just retire after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a little bit of a long read, so bear with me. But it starts here. I'm going to start here, which says, quote, is he still planning to fold up the director's chair as of June 2021? Based on his appearance this week on the Pure Cinema podcast, it sure sounds like that. Tarantino joined the show to discuss 5 great final movies from his favorite directors, Tony Scott's Unstoppable as mentioned, and naturally the conversation turned to Tarantino's own plan to end his directing career. Most directors have horrible last movies, Tarantino said via Movie Maker. Usually their worst movies are their last movies. That's the case for most of the Golden Age directors that ended up making their last movies in the late 60s and the 70s. Then that ended up being the case for most of the new Hollywood directors who made their last movies in the late 80s and 90s. Tarantino pointed to Bonnie and Clyde director Arthur Penn as an example, noting, I'm not a super huge fan of this director, but the fact that Arthur Penn's last movie is Penn and Teller Get Killed is a metaphor for how crummy most of the new Hollywood directors' last films were. So to actually end your career on a decent movie is rare. To end it with like a good movie is kind of phenomenal. Most directors' last movies are fucking lousy, the director continued before turning the discussion towards his own career, and joking he should maybe call it quits, now following Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which earned rave reviews and an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Brad Pitt. Maybe I should not make another movie because I could really be happy with dropping the mic, Tarantino said. That's the frustrating part. A lot of the really terrific directors, it's like their third to last movie would have been an amazing one to end on, which goes back to what I was saying about myself. Or, if Don Siegel had stopped with Escape from Alcatraz, I don't know how to say that. Oh my fucking god, man, what a career. Oh my god, what a career. He really said it all. The other two were really just jobs. Tarantino has long wanted to evade the last movie is horrible curse, hence his decision to leave feature filmmaking behind after 10 movies. The director is also a father now. He had revealed in January 2020 that raising a family is less appealing to him if it has to be done while globe-trotting for various productions. I kind of feel this is the time for the third act of my life to just lean a little bit more into literature, which would be good as a new father and as a new husband. I wouldn't be grabbing my family and yanking them to Germany or Sri Lanka or wherever the next story takes place. I can be a little bit more of a homebody and become a little bit more of a man of letters. So that came from Deadline, and here's the thing. So I know that you guys immediately are like going into the Deadline article saying like, oh, well, he was joking. Well, you have to understand what Tarantino is saying. He could be joking around, but more realistically, it sounds like that he's at least considering the idea of retirement after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I did not love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't think that Brad Pitt deserved the Oscar, to be honest. I think that Tom Hanks probably deserved the Oscar that year. I think he was up against Mr. Rogers, which I thought Tom Hanks was wonderful as Mr. Rogers. Brad Pitt was good, but I didn't love him in that film. I found the movie to be good. It was the most mature that I've seen Tarantino. I know Jackie Brown is another mature entry in Tarantino's catalog, but it still, in essence, felt like a Tarantino movie. And this one does still have that type of tonality and style that Tarantino has, but it feels a lot more grounded. And I like that in certain respects, but I also don't like that because it just kind of made certain scenes long-winded, and I just was kind of waiting for a spark to happen, and I didn't really get it until it was too late. But I still enjoyed it. I just didn't love it, and that's just me. But a lot of people really do like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood quite a bit. And again, if you go by a realistic count, he has already made 10 movies. So if he was retired right now, it's not to say that he would not have made 10 movies. He would have already have made 10 movies. But if you wish to go by Tarantino's bullshit count, yeah, then it's 9 movies, and he has one more to go. My thing about all this is, I personally love where he's thinking, and I would respect the hell out of him if he did indeed retire after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, even though, like I said, I personally didn't love it, as he put it really well, it's better to leave good than bad. Leaving great is even better, and by all accounts, I mean, most people really enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It went on to win Oscars and shit. So, so yeah, why not leave while you're still on top? You know, as the old saying goes, leave when it's good. You know, so if he does end up retiring after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I would have no problem with that. I mean, would I put Tarantino on the Mount Rushmore of filmmakers? No. Would I put him on like a top 20 list of my favorite filmmakers? Probably. I would have to think about it real hard, but yeah, probably. I mean, he's made some amazing movies. I would argue that Pulp Fiction probably has the greatest screenplay ever, probably the greatest screenplay written, just dialogue-wise. So I would argue it. I think it's one of the best screenplays ever written. But and you know, a lot of his other work is quite fun, like Django Unchained, Jackie Brown. Why am I blanking? Hateful Eight, which I think is highly underrated. I think it's actually a really fun western that he crafted, like a western in a blizzard. But yeah, I mean, if he does end up retiring, I mean, he has a great catalog, a great filmography, and I think that if you want to end your career on a good note, I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's is loved by a lot of people, so I mean, that'd be a good place to stop if you choose to. So I really have no problem with this if he actually does that. And if he doesn't, hey, we get one more Tarantino movie. So yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, if he retires, fine. If he doesn't retire, then hey, we get one more movie. So all right, well, yeah. But anyways, let's get into the next one. Something that I actually did not expect, and I have to imagine that a lot of people didn't expect this. We're getting Cruella 2, which is kind of shocking when you consider a couple things. But this comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Quote, The Hollywood Reporter has learned that the studio behind the Emma Stone star is in early development on a sequel. Cruella director Craig Gillespie and screenwriter Tony McNamara, I don't know how to say this name, I'm sorry, are expected to return for a sequel for the film that stars Emma Stone as fan favorite 101 Dalmatians villainess Cruella de Vil. Now, I personally enjoyed Cruella. If you guys watched my review, I enjoyed Cruella. I thought it was a fun little movie. It cost like $200 million, which is the point of where I find this news shocking, because the numbers weren't that strong. I mean, if you really read the Hollywood Reporter article, they mention the Disney CEO, I think, that put out a statement or something, and he stated that, oh yeah, I mean, the movie was a success, and then he just kind of puts that aside and then actually talks about the real reason why they're doing the sequel, which is that the audience reception has been very, very strong in Disney's eyes, and that's mainly why they're pushing for a sequel to get made, because of the audience reception. I mean, like they mention the box office numbers, but it's like more PR speak than anything else. Like if you really read it, it doesn't sound genuine, because the numbers really weren't that strong. I mean, it underperformed compared to Cruella, compared to Mulan. Mulan did better than Cruella. mean, that speaks volumes. Um, and and reception is way better on Cruella than it is on Mulan. A lot of people prefer Cruella over Mulan. Um, I do. But um, but and there also wasn't that much controversy surrounding Cruella. Really, no controversy that I'm aware of. And Mulan had a lot of controversy to it, mainly from foreign countries and all that. Um, but it still wasn't able to pull those numbers. So I was thinking, well, they're probably not going to do a sequel to that because it's not like a small movie like Joker or something. It's a big movie. It's, like I said, I think it's like 150 million or something. So the fact that they are moving along with a sequel is kind of surprising. But I think it's more or less due to the fact that people are really eating this movie up, and that they are really enjoying it versus the actual numbers. I mean, if we actually go to the actual numbers right now from the box office, we're not going to do streaming numbers. Like I said, analysts have revealed that it is lower than Mulan, but they haven't given actual numbers. But if we actually go to Cruella's numbers, box office wise, it has performed at least $87 million right now, which is, again, for pandemic numbers, great. But in terms of a budget, it's about around 100 to 200 million. Let's just say 150 just to even it out. This movie needs to perform much more to make its money back. So yeah, with all that, I was like, they're probably not going to do a sequel to this, and they are. I guess the audience's reception has been that strong. The word of mouth right now has been just that's propelling them to for them to do this, and they're fast tracking it apparently, according to the Hollywood Reporter. So this could come out as early as 2023. My thoughts on them doing an actual sequel, like the idea of a Cruella 2 happening. Some people online have been like, why do a Cruella 2? I actually think there's a lot of room to doing a Cruella 2. I think it sets itself up pretty well for doing a Cruella 2, especially if it's the pitch that I heard in interviews. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of the interviews that Emma Stone and Emma Thompson have done for Cruella. There's this one interviewer who laid out a pitch for Cruella 2. It was like a Godfather 2 style sequel, where it's a prequel and a sequel, and it gives the chance for Emma Thompson and Emma Stone to both be in the same film again. And I thought, yeah, that's great. I would like to see that. So I hope that's kind of the approach for doing Cruella 2. I know they're doing that for Lion King too, in some respects. But yeah, I personally am game for it because I enjoyed Cruella, the first one. So I'm game for Cruella 2. Of course, Emma Stone will be back to be Cruella. Paul Walter Hauser, those people will be back, and Emma Thompson will have to see depending on the writing on what they eventually do with her character. So, but yes, Cruella 2 is happening. So, but not for the reason that some people are putting out there. So, speaking of sequels, a sequel that I thought we would get an announcement on right after the weekend it came out was A Quiet Place Part 3. I thought we would get an announcement for it. We haven't yet, but we actually did get an announcement for something revolving around A Quiet Place, and that is a spin-off. Now, we've known about the spin-off for a while, but we actually now have a date. This is coming from Deadline, which is that Paramount has just put an untitled A Quiet Place movie on the calendar for March 31st, 2023. This is the one that Jeff Nicholson is writing and directing, and which Deadline first told you about. It's not a threequel, but rather based on an idea from John Krasinski. The film is very early in development and simply being billed as the next installment, broadening the post-apocalyptic world introduced in the first two movies. So this is a film that was announced a couple months back. I think it was actually a year ago or something, long time ago. So Jeff Nicholson will be writing and directing. For those who don't know Jeff Nicholson, I I'm pulling up his credits right now because I have completely forgotten the film that he did. Um, I know what it is. Give me a second. Um, for those who don't know who Jeff Nicholson is, he's the guy who was behind some movies uh, like Mud with Matthew McConaughey. He's also did Loving. Most recent, I think he also did Loving. He did do Loving, and most recently he did Midnight Special with Michael Shannon, if I'm not mistaken. So he's had his foot, and he's also did Take Shelter, I believe, with Michael Shannon. Um, so so it's not his first rodeo with doing a post-apocalyptic or like a those types of genre pieces. It's not his first go around at that. How do I feel about a spin-off for A Quiet Place? Now, you guys know I really enjoyed A Quiet Place Part 2. It's actually in my top 10 favorite movies right now. It's not like in the top 5, but it's in my top 10 right now. Really enjoyed it. Had a really fun time with it. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I still quite enjoyed it. Them doing a spin-off, I mean, the description is pretty much spin-off material. I mean, I don't know what's it's very vague on what the spin-off is. I am a little bit interested that that the idea is based off of something from John Krasinski, and that John Krasinski is choosing to not focus on that spin-off. If I were to take a guess on what the spin-off is, I'm going to get into some spoilers on Part 2, A Quiet Place Part 2. So if you've not seen A Quiet Place Part 2, I'm going to talk spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So when they're on the island with all those people, where the monsters, because you learn the monsters cannot swim, and when they found this island, Miss Lynn Simmons' character Cillian Murphy's character find this island, and it's inhabited by all these people. What was the journey like to getting on that island? I would have to imagine that's probably maybe the idea, possibly the idea. So it could be that. It could be a spin-off about Cillian Murphy's character, which I'd be game for because I really enjoyed Cillian Murphy's character in A Quiet Place Part 2. So it could be out of that, or it could be a brand new original idea. And I don't know why, because maybe it's just because I just saw him attached to a bunch of stuff. Maybe Michael Shannon will be a part of this. Who knows? I'm game for it. I mean, if it's still, the only part that's like kind of like, I don't know, is the fact that John Krasinski is not writing or directing it. But again, I want to see new creatives on this, so I want to be able to see new perspectives and new ideas represented through these movies, versus having the same guy do the same thing over and over and over again, and then it becomes tiresome. So I would like to see new people at the helm. So yes, I am happy that Jeff Nicholson is writing and directing it. A part of me is kind of just like, oh, but John Krasinski did so good on the first one and the second one. But hey, it's a spinoff, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think there's some good possibilities. Part 2 laid out some interesting paths as to where you could go for a spinoff. Like I said, we could see the journey of how those people got on the island, or Cillian Murphy's character. I'd more be down for seeing the spinoff about Cillian Murphy's character, to be honest with you. I know that we kind of already gotten never mind. Actually, never mind. I don't want to see it. I was just like, yeah, we actually did get pretty much all the information we needed about him in Part 2. Let's do the movie about people on the boat. Or how they got to that island. Yeah, that's me. It's better. But whatever it is, I am game to see it because I really enjoy this franchise so far, and I'm hoping that we hear about something about Part 3. I assume we're not going to get Part 3 for a while then, if this is the next thing in line. If this is the next thing in line is a spinoff. Now, they have not announced that the spinoff takes place, um, you know, before part two. So this could exist after part two, theoretically speaking. It could be after part two. It could just be following other characters. Um, but I have to imagine it's probably before part one, or maybe it's within sometime during part one. Um, but it is interesting that that we are not getting part three sooner than later. I'm a little surprised by that. That we are getting the spinoff first, and that likely we might get part three like at this point, because if they've dated for 2023, maybe not for another like 4 years. So maybe not till like 2025. Like, yeah, like maybe. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the spinoff entails. But I'm just surprised we haven't heard about part three yet. But anyways, moving on to another type sequel news. Into the Spider-Verse 2 is in development, and they have casted Issae Rae, I believe is how you say her name, as Spider-Woman. She'll be voicing Spider-Woman, and it is scheduled to release on October 7th, 2022. I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. I didn't love Into the Spider-Verse as like everyone else did, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I think the animation was fun to look at, and I thought the voice cast was good. I didn't love it. I didn't love it as everyone else did. But Issae Rae, I've seen some of her work. She's good, and yeah, I dig it. I dig that she'll be a part of this universe, and that we're seeing other Spider-Men or Spider-Men characters. So curious if we'll get Tom Holland Spider-Man. That'd be interesting. Him popping up in this. I wonder how that work. But speaking of sequels, two more bits of news to get into. The first of which is something that we've been waiting to hear for a long time, and that is that Indiana Jones 5 is finally filming. They are finally filming. There's now set photos out there of Harrison Ford in the OG Indiana Jones costume again. There's like some stunts that they're probably doing with a possible young version of Indy. But it is now happening. They are now filming it. It has been too long for this movie. Like, there's been so many setbacks. Steven Spielberg was attached for so long, but then he fucking left it. So while I'm still cautious about this movie being made at all without Steven Spielberg, I am still happy to know that this movie is still going to happen, and that Harrison Ford is back and all that stuff. I do like James Mangold as a director. I enjoyed Logan a lot. I think it's one of the best comic movies ever made. Ford v Ferrari was good fun. I didn't love it as much as Logan, but I enjoyed Ford v Ferrari for what it was. So if it's more like Logan, then I will be happy. If it's more like Ford v Ferrari, then I might be a little disappointed. But comes out on July 29th, 2022, and they're filming this thing, man. So Harrison Ford's in it. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is also in it. Mads Mikkelsen's also in it, which that's fucking amazing. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the villain. And if he is, fuck yeah. And Boyd Holbrook, the villain from Logan, is also in this movie too. So, solid cast and a solid filmmaker. So, cross my fingers. Hopefully this thing is good. Hopefully they don't fuck it up. But we'll see what happens. We'll probably get some more set photos in the future. And no Shia LaBeouf. So, I didn't mind him, to be honest. I didn't mind him in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I didn't mind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I know some people really shit on that movie. I think that movie is totally fine. Is it better than the other three? No. It's my least favorite Indiana Jones movie, but it doesn't make it a shitty movie. It's fine. It's fine. At least my book, but some people think it's shitty. But moving on, transitioning to Indiana Jones 5. to talking about another sequel, which actually wrapped filming recently, which was Thor: Love and Thunder. They had just wrapped filming last week, and Chris Hemsworth is looking buff. um, I assume that he also looks that way because I believe his next movie he's working on is the Hulk Hogan biopic, the one that with Todd Phillips directing. So I assume that's probably why he looks so jacked. I think Hulk Hogan also posted on social media something about that, his physique, because he looks insane. He looks fucking huge. But yes, Chris Hemsworth obviously back as Thor. Natalie Portman coming in to play Lady Thor. We've seen some pictures of her. She was looking pretty muscular herself. Christian Bale playing the villain. He looks pretty bald-headed and all that shit. Tessa Thompson and Chris Pratt are also in it. So assumably the Guardians of the Galaxy will be in it. Directed and written by Taika Waititi, of course, and has a release date of May 6, 2022. I enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I think Thor as a franchise is probably my least favorite of the MCU. I kind of have forgotten the other two Thor movies. But Thor Ragnarok was a good change of pace. I had a lot of fun with it. It's one of my personal favorite MCU movies. So yeah, I am definitely looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. And you know, if Taika Waititi keeps up with the style that he created with him for himself and within Thor Ragnarok, then I think we have a possible another fun adventure on our hands. But that is to be seen. But yeah, Chris Hemsworth looks fucking jacked. So yeah, I'm assuming that he also looks like that for Hulk Hogan. So, and if that is his physique for Hulk Hogan, not bad at all, dude. Not bad. Looking beefy. Fucking beefcake. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for today. We talked about Tarantino possibly retiring. We talked about Cruella 2. We talked about basically a bunch of fucking sequels and shit. So you guys let me know all your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. And I may or may not be doing a review maybe this week. In the Heights is coming out this weekend, so that'll be fun to watch. Or at least hopefully it'll be fun to watch. I've been hearing some great things about it. Hopefully we'll be doing a review on that, and maybe if I watch anything else, I'll do a review on that as well. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you guys also go check out my short film. I have it in the link below. If you could just give me your thoughts on it, just maybe some feedback or, you know, just your perspective of the story, it'd be very, very generous. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, be safe, wash your hands, social distancing, get through this together. And that is it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, just keep on living. I don't know what I was trying to do there with that ending. I'm sorry. I don't know how to do these outros that well. So, all right, guys. I'll catch you next time.